So following Hasbro's latest Pulse Fanstream event, it looks like we're getting an awesome new set of figures coming out soon, featuring figures from the upcoming Fantastic Four film. So let's take a closer look and see what Hasbro's been cooking up for us. Hey, what's up guys? This is Ben and welcome back to the channel. So today we'll be diving into the new wave of Fantastic Four figures coming out soon from Hasbro Marvel Legends. These figures were recently announced during their Pulse Fanstream event online a couple weeks ago and features several new figures being released this summer. Right, these 6 figures features the Fantastic Four family along with Silver Surfer rocking their 60s inspired costumes from the upcoming Marvel film coming out soon next month. Now, all of them are being released as single design figures, with the exception of Human Torch, who actually getting 2 different versions, one with his flames on and one with flames off. Now, the figure packaging themselves also look really clean and have a nice retro feel to them, which are modeled after the Fantastic Four films using their fonts and colors. So it's pretty cool that Hasbro got that nailed down pretty well. Otherwise, the figures themselves more or less look like they have clean standard look to them, which isn't too bad, but let's take a closer look at each one of these and see if they're worth adding to your collection. The first one up here features the new MCU Silver Surfer, aka Shala Bal. Now, for those who don't know, this is actually an original character, or is not an original character just for film. She's actually a character from, or rather originating from Marvel Comics. The Silver Surfer that folks are more accustomed to, though, is the Norton Rad version, which Hasbro has released 2 previous versions for him in the past. Now, this figure features Shala in her all Silver Surfer costume again, but this time with an obvious female physique. Surfer looks like she has decent paint applications to her, and the silver that they use has a nice tint of sheen to it. It's not as sheen though as I would have liked because she's a little more shiner in the movie, but still not too bad. The figure body looks pretty good in terms of sculpting throughout her actual figure body. She doesn't have any waist movement though, and only on the upper torso, so you kind of easily see like the size differences there between the upper body and lower body. Now, her face sculpt doesn't look similar to the actress, I believe her name is Julia Garner, but you can see some resemblance there. The hair sculpt came out pretty good, and you kind of see the lines there as well, all the way down to the bottom of her neck, which is good. Now, in terms of accessories, you only comes with one, which is a pretty good accessory. This features the fire-like stand, which is good if you like to keep her along with other similar figures in a more like diorama type of pose. Now, otherwise, there are no cosmic power accessories or anything of that nature that come with her. So a decent new Silver Surfer figure that's likely worth the pickup, especially since she comes with that mini diorama base accessory, right? Now, the next one up here features the new MCU Human Torch, aka Johnny Storm. Now, there are 2 different iterations of Johnny being released with the Fantastic Four wave, and this one features him with his flames on. It features Johnny actually rocking his classic suit from the film, and right off the bat, it looks like Hasbro did a really good job on him, right, in terms of his flame on design. There aren't a whole lot of sculpting variations to the figure body itself, except for like that stomach area where they can kind of give you a nice variation and give you like a loose kind of look. But the additional flame effects that they've used to attach his body are where the nice additional details really come into play, where you get like the additional flame on molds that connects to both his hands and feet and around the back area. Now, these fire molds, along with the costume, feature a really nice translucent base to them, along with that great orange and red coloring. I really like the hair as well, since you kind of like see the seamless variation of color changes there from the orange to red, so that's nice. His body mold doesn't really feature any extra movement though, like around the waist area again, but looks like he has enough to get him into those well-known flying poses. In terms of the accessories, I only come to the one, which is the additional pair of hand molds. Now, these feature like the open gesture hand molds with the nice flame effects on them. He doesn't have any additional weapon effects though outside of that, like fire flame or fireballs, which is kind of a bummer. Otherwise, the figure itself looks pretty good and definitely a pickup for me. This next one features Johnny Storm again, but this time with his flame off style figure. It's really cool though that Hasbro decided to add this iteration so you can kind of display him nicely next to the rest of Fantastic Four with their like matching blue costumes. Now, in terms of the figure design, you can kind of see a lot more of the line sculpt throughout the actual costume itself. Everything from like the many vertical lines down to the Fantastic Four logo on his chest came out pretty good. Also, as well as the paint applications look pretty solid. There's a nice blue solid tint used throughout most of its costume, and some additional whites that stand out pretty nice on some of the pieces. Now, the head sculpt looks pretty decent, although it doesn't have much likeness to the actor himself. Also, that facial expression looks a little off to me. It doesn't look neutral enough and feels like Hasbro wasn't sure what expression to actually give him, unfortunately. Otherwise, they did do a nice job on the hair, and like that dirty blonde paint application was delivered pretty good. Now, in terms of accessories, he comes with 2 different ones. One extra pan of hand molds with a closed fist, and the other pair of which includes fire effects, which he kind of used to put on his actual hands themselves. Those are pretty good because it like helps translate Johnny into a standard museum pose with just enough flame to show it off who he is. So nice job there by Hasbro. And likely a pickup for me just because, again, I want to keep him together with the family, especially during their picture night. Now, the next one features Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman. This sculpt here is looking pretty solid. In terms of figure design, you can really see a lot more of the line sculpts throughout the top shirt of her outfit, whereas on her pants and boots, it's a little more flat, right? So it's a nice little subtle differences between their costumes, between the four family, especially, and captured well by Hasbro. Now, her upper chest mold does look a little off, though, maybe a little too large and off scale. Others, the rest of her proportions do look all right. Applications look also pretty solid. Some nice blues, like I guess you could say flat blue, and some minor blacks added there, which to the outside of extremities, which came out pretty good. Now the head sculpt looks all right, although it doesn't have much likeness to the actress herself, similar to Johnny Storm. Her facial expression doesn't match any of the scenes that we've seen from the movie or preview so far. So between expression and lack of likeness, it's definitely not the best head sculpt in my opinion. Although they did do a nice job on the hair and like that dirty blonde paint again. It's been delivered there, but not too great in terms of just the feel of it, right? In terms of the accessories, she does come with a different one extra pair of hand bolts with the closed fist, and the other one features a power accessory featuring that small invisible shield. Now these are pretty cool since it helps translate Sue from like that museum pose to some of an action pose, which is nice. So decent job by Hasbro here, and like they pick up for me just because again I want to keep the whole fam together during their picture night. The next one here features Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. Sculpture here is looking really solid so far from first glance. In terms of figure design, the body proportions look pretty decent, and it did a nice job on the scaling on like actual legs and the pants wrapped around it. His upper chest area does feel a little off and sticks out a little too much again, kind of similar to how they overextended Sue's chest area as well. Otherwise, the arms, hands, and feet look good and scaled to the rest of the figure body, which is pretty on par. Paint applications also look nice and feature that nice dark yellow tone used throughout the figure. No additional shades of color though, but the solid one looks pretty nice. The head sculpt looks alright and feels like it's more better in terms of likeness versus Sue and or Johnny, which is good. He does look like he does have a slight unibrow though. And it's a little too strong in terms of facial expression. Otherwise, the sculpt is pretty point on. In terms of accessories, he only comes with the extra hand molds, which is the open hands. So not much extra there in terms of accessory, unfortunately. But overall, nice solid job at Hasbro and worth the pickup for having a more movie accurate thing. Last one up here is the fearless leader, Mr. Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. The sculpt here looks pretty decent, but the arms and thighs feel a little too large, at least slightly large to me. In terms of the figure design itself, do like how the sculpt was done well in terms of throughout the cuts on the suit. It has a nice mix of those vertical lines on its arms and legs versus the mid section, which remains flat. The belt stands out really well. I really like the retro look and functional feel to it, which is nice. Paint applications look also pretty good and feature the same style blue tone used on the other three figures. The head sculpt looks all right, but definitely off again, unfortunately. The hair doesn't sit too well with me, and the facial hair that they've put on is just overdone and just not proper, right? Also, facial expression has him somewhat or somewhere in between, like looking like he's constipated or just happy. Not sure which one. So, again, not the best head sculpt for him, unfortunately. I wish they could have given better likeness to the actor. Now, in terms of extra accessories, he only comes with the extra pair of arm molds. These feature those extended stretchy ones, which is pretty good, right? So you can actually give them some nice action poses. And I also like how they differ in sculpt as well. So some nice variations there, which is good. Overall, a nice job by Hasbro. But again, it would have been better if the head sculpt just looked a little more like Pedro Pascal versus what it looks like here. So there you have it, folks. Thanks for joining today as we explore the new Marvel Legends Fantastic Four figures announced in May Hasbro Pulse Fanstream May. All these 5 figures are already available for pre-order, expected to ship around July. You know, some countries already in Asia actually have them in stock, and it should retail for around $25. Otherwise, these are a decent wave of new Fantastic Four figures. I don't think they're quite the best, but not bad for movie-related set. So are you excited for this new wave of Fantastic Four figures at all? Or how about the upcoming Marvel movie coming out soon? Let me know in comments what really stands out to you and if you plan on picking any of them up. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button for more content, coolest Marvel figures around. Until next time, folks, keep on collecting.